When you move to a new country, you usually have to start from scratch, learn things, learn the way that they behave, learn the way money works, learn a whole lot of things. And honestly, it can be an expensive process learning these things. And it is also quite mentally exhausting, physically exhausting, and the likes of that. That is why in this video, I'm going to be sharing some of the mistakes that I made when I first moved to this country and how you can avoid those mistakes, especially if you're trying to level up your finances in this new year. So if that sounds like something that you want to watch, then you should definitely stick around. So the first money mistake that I made was relying on willpower. There is this thing where everyone just seems to think that they have a very strong willpower, they can get things done, they don't need to, they don't need to be so proactive because if I want to do it, I will do it. But let me just be the first person to tell you that willpower is definitely not enough most times. Especially when you're young, when you're free, when you're new to a place. You would think to yourself, oh, I'm going to save £200 every month. But if you're relying on willpower, it is very easy for you to say, this month I've got a lot of expenses. How about I don't save this £200 and I spend it on my expenses instead? Or you might see a new washing machine and think to yourself, I actually do need this washing machine. I should probably buy it. And that is because you're relying on willpower. But one thing I should have done was to automate the process of saving, investing, and all of that. So immediately my salary comes in, the money just immediately goes out. At the end of the day, I have paid myself first. I've automated the process, and then I can squeeze the rest of my life into whatever is left. So for example, I earn £2,000 a month and I've decided that I want to save £200, I want to invest £100. So automatically £300 goes out of my account. Immediately my salary comes in. So at that point, I am now spreading my life to fit into £1,700 instead of spreading my life to fit into £2,000 and hoping that my willpower is enough to save me. So that is definitely mistake number one that I made. Second mistake that I made was thinking that I had a lot of time. There is this thing that usually happens in your 20s where you think you've got so much time on your hands. And you do. But the thing about time is you never really know that it's passing by. One day you're going to wake up and it's 6 years from when you thought you had time. Because you never really know that time is moving as fast as it is. So when you come in, you think, oh, I've got a lot of time to sort things out and figure things out. I will start saving and investing when I've sorted things out. And if you're not proactive about it, you would find that a lot of time has passed and you have neither saved nor invested. You are literally one problem away from being flat broke. So it is really important that you, when you come into the country, realize that you do have quite a bit of time, but you don't really have that much time. So it's important to be very, very time conscious and to start saving, investing, and, being financially savvy from the get-go. That is why I'm making this video, because I don't want you wasting time like I did and, not taking advantage of offers and opportunities that are out there. So for example, because I didn't know about a lifetime individual savings account, for the first year that my husband and I came into the country, we didn't make use of a lifetime individual savings account because we didn't know. So we basically threw away £2,000, which was £1,000 that would have been free money for him and £1,000 that would have been free money for me. We threw it away because we didn't know about a lifetime individual savings account. So you really have to, be proactive about learning and not saying, oh, I've got a lot of time on my hands, because the truth of the matter is you don't have as much time as you think you do. So, get your act together and move quickly. Now, still piggybacking off having a lot of time, a lot of people don't actually start investing because they think that they have a lot of time. When I came to this country, I was about 27 or 28, I think it was. And prior to moving here, all my life savings and everything was used to relocate to the UK. So I was literally starting from ground zero. I didn't really have any investments in Nigeria. And so the bulk of my early 20s were not spent investing. All I did was a save, and I used all my savings, which I guess I can say it was some form of investment because I invested it in myself, taking all the exams that I needed to take to move me from Nigeria to the UK. Um, and obviously now in the UK, we're starting from zero. So we didn't have any savings, we didn't have any investments, and obviously, we didn't have time. And like Warren Buffett, I think it was, says that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. The time in the market and money invested are the most important things. So the earlier you can start, the better, which again is why I preach having some form of investment account for your children. I've spoken about junior individual savings account on this channel, which is a way to give your children a head start because, as we said, time in the market and money invested are the most important things with compound interest. Now, with your children, they've literally got their whole lives ahead of them. Even if you invested £50 a month for them, it would end up being something so significant in the future because they've got so much time ahead of them. Now, I'm going to give you an example of a situation. Now, I'm going to call this girl Runke. Runke invests £200 a month for 10 years between age 20 to 30, right? And she just leaves that £200 a month at age 30. She decides, I don't want to invest anymore. I've done my bit. But she invested £200 a month from age 20 to 30. She doesn't put any single penny into the account and she just lets it sit there and lets it grow. Now, Musa, on the other hand, starts investing at age 45. Musa is investing £200 every month till retirement, which is 65. And 45 to 65 is 20 years. So Musa is investing £200 every single month for 20 years. Bearing in mind that Runke invested only £200 for 10 years. They both invested the same amount of money. Musa invested it for 20 years and Runke invested it for 10 years. Now, when it's time for retirement, Runke would have over £369,000 in her investment account. And she didn't put in anything again. She only invested £200 for 10 years. But because of time in the market and the money that is there, she would have over £369,000 in her investment account. Meanwhile, Musa, on the other hand, would only have about £100,000, even though he invested it for a longer duration of time because he started investing late. So Ronke's money had all the time from age 20 to age 65 to grow. Meanwhile, Musa's money only had from age 45 to age 65 to grow. Do you understand what I mean? This is why it is super important to be cognizant of the importance of time when we're talking about money and investing. If you can, please try to do something for your children. It might be, it's never too late to start. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time to start is now. Don't say, oh, I'm 45. I haven't started investing. Is it too late for me? It's never too late. Just start. When you wake up is your morning. Start doing it now. It's better for you to have it than for you not to have anything. But the people who have a brand new slate, fresh slate, are your children. That is why you can give them such a massive head start. Because if you invested £100 every single month for them till age 18 and they moved that money into they moved that money into an ISA account and they never invested a single penny inside that account again till retirement at age 65, they would still have over £1 million. And that is just because of the effect of compound interest. So I would really, really encourage you to, think about it and see how you can help yourself and your children, and just don't make this mistake that I made of not having any active investments when I first came into the country. Also, while we're still on the topic of investing, I would strongly encourage you to go for funds over individual stocks. And the reason is because with funds, the risk is a spread and it's a bit more managed versus individual stocks. When you choose individual stocks, you kind of are putting all your eggs in one basket, which isn't a bad thing because individual stocks have a higher potential to give you a much bigger ROI. So, for example, there's this company, is it Palantir? I don't know if I said that correctly, but it's going to be on the screen. I have bought some shares with them, and these shares grew over 70% in the space of 1 month. So imagine I had £10,000 in that account and it grew 70%. I would have had easy £7,000 easily as just profits in 1 month. That is the benefit of individual stocks. But very easily, that can also crash to a negative and you would lose all your money. As opposed to investing in funds, because the risk is spread, when you invest in funds, you invest in things like S&P 500, which are the 500 top performing companies in the United States, or the FTSE Global, which are the top performing companies worldwide. You invest in like a pool of different stocks. So the risk is shared and is spread across all these companies. So even if one company isn't performing so well, the other companies kind of make up and compensate. So at the end of the day, the risk of you losing everything is much slimmer than if you invested in an individual stocks. You could literally lose everything. And so if you are a beginner, I would strongly encourage you to invest in funds over stocks. When I first started, I didn't know anything about investing. So I spent my time investing in individual stocks and trying to pick and choose. And I just wasted a lot of my time because I could have just put that in a fund and it would have generated some money. A lot of the time, when I chose individual stocks, because I'm not a professional, I just chose like popular stocks or tried to copy somebody's portfolio. And when I noticed that the money was dropping and I was starting to make a loss, I actualized that loss by withdrawing my money and trying to be safe because I didn't want the money to go to zero. What I could have done was to leave that money there for however long it took for the stocks to come back up. And so that I wouldn't have been in a negative, because at the end of the day, I withdrew that money and I ended up being in negative equity. But if I had left the money in those stocks, I wouldn't have actualized that loss. So that is something that you should consider, even if you do choose to buy individual stocks over investing in funds. If you are buying stocks and you notice that it's crashing, just leave it be. Don't be so tempted to withdraw the money because you think, oh, I'm losing money. Leave it be. You only lose money when you withdraw the money. But if you leave the money in stocks, over time, those stocks may recover and you won't eventually end up making any loss and you will actually make a gain instead. So that is another money mistake I made. I withdrew those. First thing was in buying individual stocks when I hadn't done a lot of research, and then actualizing the loss by withdrawing those funds when I started to notice that there was a dip. Another money mistake that I made was actively exchanging my time for money. So this is why it's super important for you to leverage passive income skills. So things like whatever passive. In fact, I've got a whole video on my channel talking about various passive income streams that you can utilize. And honestly, when you start to utilize passive income skills, you're no longer directly exchanging your time for money. And that frees up some time for you to be able to do other things, whether spend it with family, spend it with friends, go traveling, do whatever you need to do, as opposed to picking up every single shift that exists in the world. First of all, you would be burnt out. And second of all, you are not developing yourself in any other area of your life because you're spending all your time exchanging it for money. So it's important for you to, leverage passive income, diversify your money-making portfolio so that you are able to make money without actively trading every second of your time for some money. This I cannot overemphasize enough, because one thing you would find is the UK is such an expensive place to live, and you do need some more money to come in one way or the other. So it's important for you to find a way that you can make this more money without burning out. And at the time, I was picking up every single locum shift that I could, and that was really leading to burnout. So honestly, leverage passive income skills as much as possible. If you want to check out that passive income video, it is going to be up in the cards. Do yourself a favor, watch that video, see what you can do some research, whatever skills you have, look at for ways that you can monetize those skills. It could even be as simple as doing surveys. Honestly, there are companies that pay you some money to do some surveys, so it could be as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? But stop actively exchanging your time for money. That is definitely a big mistake that I made with regards to money when I first came to the UK. And finally, opting out of workplace pension. Now, I know that a lot of people don't plan to retire in the UK eventually, but even if you don't plan to retire in the UK, you can still cash your money and spend it in your home country when you've eventually moved there, or wherever country that you decided to retire in. The money is definitely not a lot, because I am only starting to contribute towards my workplace pension in my late 20s versus people who have been here, who have been contributing to their workplace pension in their early 20s, because they do start working at such a young age. But I'm just starting to contribute to my workplace pension in my late 20s. And that already puts me at a bit of a disadvantage, because I don't have those extra years of contribution that some of my colleagues have, who have been contributing for much longer. So opting out of that workplace pension is also doing yourself a disservice, because you think to yourself, oh, I need the money now. But think about the life that you envision for your 65-year-old self. Do you envision yourself actively relying on your children for money? If the answer is no, then I would strongly encourage you to, stay in your workplace pension, contribute, because your employer also, contributes some money as well. So for example, if you're contributing 6%, your employer may be contributing 3%, and then you would have 9%. So if you're not contributing anything, you're not going to get that 3% that your employer is contributing. So you are basically losing free money by opting out of your workplace pension. Again, I know that we all need money, and that is why I really do preach trying to diversify your income and trying to leverage passive income skills, so that you are not, number one, actively trading your time for money, and actively also trading your future for the now. Please opt into your workplace pension if you can. Think about the life that you envision for your retired self. Are you asking your children for money? Are you still having to work so hard because you can't afford to take your foot off the gas? What type of life are you living at 65? Think about it, picture it. And then if you don't think that a workplace pension is what you want, are you investing the money in some other way to afford you a comfortable life in retirement? That is definitely something I would say. So please don't opt out of workplace pension, because you're just leaving free money on the table. Opt back in if you have opted out. And yeah, I really do hope you learned a thing or two from this video. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff if you ended up enjoying this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.